Coming up next on Columbus Connection, the city is moving forward, and we're going to tell you how. Stay tuned. Welcome to Columbus Connections. I am your host, David Britt, and it is a new year, a new time, and the city is moving forward. We've got a lot of great things going on in 2018, but of course we can't go forward unless we know where we've been, and that's where we're going to start at. We're talking about Claflin School. You've heard a lot about it, and I have the man here to tell you, again, where it came from, where it is, and where we're going to go with it. Reverend Richard Jesse, how are you?
I'm wonderful. What about you today?
I am doing fine. Welcome to the show.
Well, we're grateful to be here. We thank God for allowing us to be at this point in time and this point in history.
Oh, yeah.
And history is yet being made.
Yeah.
So
now, we've heard a lot about Claflin School in the recent years and efforts to revitalize it. First, tell me Claflin School and its importance to the city.
First of all, Claflin was the first school built for former slaves in Columbus in 1868. And you can imagine 3 years after the war, Civil War,
right.
3 years after blacks had been freed in this nation, came Claflin School, educating students, educating adults. Mm-hmm. Claflin, and matter of fact, we're excited. This is our 150th anniversary this year.
It is.
So Claflin has been an example of educational excellence in Muscogee County. Started in 1868, became a public school in 1880, had survived the Reconstruction era and had survived the KKK and all of what went along with the end of that Reconstruction. And then in 1880, Claflin was turned over to the city, and Mr. Henry Spencer, William Henry Spencer, the one that our beloved Spencer High School is named after, became the first principal of Claflin. And for the next 100 years, Claflin went through segregation, went from segregation to desegregation. It took 100 years from the establishment of Claflin for it to overcome that system of segregation.
Right, and it recently has sat vacant for years and it has gone down. And at some point, a group of concerned citizens decided, hey, we want to bring this back to its glory and really have it represent what it should.
Yes, sir. In the year 1972, Claflin was closed as a public school. It was used as an administrative building until 2005, 2006. And after that, it sat and just deteriorated. It's now in ruins. In 2013, the school system turned Claflin back over to the city, and the city was about to turn it back over to the federal government, which would have meant that the deed restrictions that protected Claflin would have been lifted, and probably the school would have been demolished. In 2014, a group of us went to the city and asked them to give us 6 months to come up with a plan and a proposal for the restoration and preservation of Claflin. And in November 2014, we had gotten advice and gotten input from citizens of this community, and we developed a plan. Early in 2015, we signed a lease agreement with the city, and now we are leasing Claflin School building for $1 a year. And the process of restoration of this school was about at that time about a $10 million proposition. And so God led us to people who were concerned about historical preservation. And 2 months ago, we learned that we have the full funding for the restoration of Claflin School.
Oh,
and we're excited about it.
That's awesome. Now, for those that aren't familiar with Claflin's location, where is it located in the city?
Claflin is located on the corner of 5th Avenue between 15th and 16th Street, right there by the overpasses on Veterans Parkway. Claflin sits right behind the Confederate cemetery,
In Linwood
Cemetery.
Yeah.
And it's just a big part of that community. The closest community to it now is the East Highland community. And what we've been doing over the last few years, we've been building partnerships.
Gotcha.
While we restore the physical building, we also have a plan to restore our social order.
Gotcha.
And we want people to pay very close attention to
Now
what is going on.
you say restoring the social order, and
Yes.
how do you do that? How do you take this building, and with the funding that you now have, what's your plan to restore the building and restore that social order, like you said?
Okay, one more point about the history of Claflin. If you can imagine when Claflin was established, it had been against the law to educate former slaves in America. And this school began the process of giving hope. Claflin at that time was not only an educational hub of the community, but it was also a social, a spiritual, it was also a medical hub of the community. Claflin served this community well. And we're at a point now where, unfortunately, we have too many vestiges of that same era, of the slave era, that are still in America. And what we're seeing is there has not been a significant decrease in poverty that breeds crime, that breeds a lot of other situations that come from poverty. And so Claflin is going to be for this next generation. And we look at history in terms of 40-year history.
Gotcha.
Claflin has been closed a little bit over 40 years, and we have a plan that in the next 40 years, Claflin will help to alleviate poverty and help families that want to do better be able to have the tools to do that. One of the things that we will be doing with Claflin, we're going to be adding affordable housing, affordable family housing to the school. And with those 44 or so apartments at the school, we want to help the least of them, the low-income families, returning citizens, veterans, and ex-offenders, and Claflin will become a community.
Gotcha.
In that community, and again, we're partnering with the East Highland community. We will have a credit union. We're partnering with the Greater Chamber of Commerce, who has agreed to help us to develop a credit union so that we can educate low-income families on how to handle their monies to move out of that financial situation. And hopefully, Claflin will be like an incubator. We'll help families be able to get on their feet while we're working with their children and Head Start. Head Start families will be able to learn how to raise themselves out of that low income level.
So you're taking an approach of really nurturing the community and using this building for people to come in, whether they live there or want to use those things, to really rebuild the community and just make it better and build the people in the community.
And we want to say to Columbus, we need to, and you started this program by saying we're moving forward. If you stand where you are, you're not moving forward. So we're saying to folk who are maintaining the status quo, those who are afraid to make a difference, that you should join us and see what's going to be going on as we move forward, and step by step, we'll help people walk out of poverty.
All right. Are things underway already, or where are you all in the process?
Well, we just received word 2 months ago that the federal tax credits that we had applied for historical restoration and for affordable housing, we've been awarded. And so, again, we're excited about that. One of the reporters asked me, how do I feel now? And I told him I feel a little bit like Noah the day that it started to rain. And of course, you know, the day that it started to rain, that was just the beginning of the storm. So we want the community to join with us. Claflin this restoration process started out as a community effort, as a community effort to not only preserve a historical institution, but to see what we could do to come out of this spiritual wilderness we seem to be wandering in
Okay.
over the last 40 years.
Gotcha.
And this is an important year also because next year, 2019, Africans would have been in America 400 years. And I just want you to just let this settle on you just for a moment. We have been in America 400 years next year. And we need to evaluate where we are, where we've been, and where we need to go.
Gotcha.
And if we get focused, if we join the plans, if you don't have a plan, I want to say to your listeners, if you don't have a plan to restore social order, help us, join with us. And the plan that we have will benefit not only Columbus, but our total society in America.
Gotcha. How can people contact you if they want to be a part of this?
They can call me directly. My number is 706-393-9393. And if they want to make a donation to the Friends of Historic Claflin, Inc., we are a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit organization. They can write their checks to FHC, Friends of Historic Claflin, P.O. Box 5231, Columbus, Georgia 31906. We had a wonderful, beautiful website that got hacked, and we're in the process of restoring that, but people can make their donations now. We got to this point because we understood that this Claflin project, for me, was an assignment from God. And for others who have been working with us, we have done our due diligence and God has done the rest. And we are just grateful to be where we are. One of the initial tools that we'll be using, our board of directors adopted a program called PEERS, an initiative called PEERS. PEERS stands for Political, Economic, Educational Reconstruction Systems. We're about to see a third reconstruction in America. And one of the things that we have learned that if you understand where you've been, where you are, you can better plan for where you're going.
Gotcha.
And that's what we're doing. We have a plan, and now we're ready to work the plan, thanks to God and to some out-of-state investors who heard what we wanted to do with the school and partnered with us.
Okay.
And we want to thank God for Oracle consultants who are our partners and our developers in this process. I was about to mention PEERS, and PEERS has 4 different pillars. And we want people to understand that as we move forward, make Claflin a community center, and you can join the Friends of Historic and Alumni Association. You don't have to be a student, a former student of Claflin to join our Alumni Association, and we'll be giving more information about that. But our initial preamble to our guidelines for the Friends of Claflin and Alumni Association is that in the spirit of William Henry Spencer and Professor Shadrach R. Marshall, former principals of Claflin, we will aggressively encourage more men who care about the welfare of our children to pursue careers in education. We got to get more men involved in education.
Very needed.
And that's one of the things that Claflin will be doing. And we have this initiative that our board adopted, PEERS, and PEERS will promote, teach, and encourage people to practice the golden rule.
Gotcha. Now, can people, if people want to be a part of PEERS, do they contact you at the same contact number?
We have a commitment and a pledge for becoming a peer. And we want people to understand that peers are honorable, equal citizens who care about their community.
Gotcha.
And the 4 pillars of peers is we teach the golden rule. We've already started a movement towards respect, responsibility, and reconciliation. We want to use peers to recover some of what we lost over the last 40 years. Over the last 40 years, we've lost a sense of family, some of us, a sense of community, and a sense of dependency on God.
Gotcha.
And the other thing that we want to, if you want to be a part of building accountability in the systems under which we live, the political, the education, the economic system, become a peer. And we have a plan how we can build accountability into those systems.
Gotcha.
And we are just excited about what is going to happen. Can you imagine what would happen if most of our society became a peer and practiced the golden rule?
Oh yeah, it's so much better.
Yes, sir.
So Peers grows out of Claflin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peers is the initial program that we adopted to help be our help restore social order.
Gotcha.
And when you think of all of the negative things that are going on, most of it's going on because citizens, we have allowed it. I'm a baby boomer, and a lot of the negatives that have occurred in our society happened under our watch.
So now Claflin and Peers is working on making that next 40 years better.
Yes, sir.
Than the previous year.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now tell me, what's next for you? After you've got this going on, what other stuff do you have on the horizon?
Well, if you just can imagine, I wear several hats in this community. I'm the director of the Columbus Urban Debate League. We involve middle and high school students in public policy debate. We're affiliated with Emory University, and we're in our 7th season for the Columbus Urban Debate League. We're excited about teaching young people how to argue civilly, you know, how to make your arguments and control your emotion, how to practice the golden rule as you argue your points and debate. I'm also a state district coordinator for the NAACP, and we want to ask the community to support the Columbus branch NAACP. The NAACP has a history in America like none other. And one of the things that we see in the future as we become politically empowered, our United States Senate has never passed an anti-lynching law. The Congress has, but the Senate apologized a few years for not, but they never did. And when you see all of the executions in America, the unlawful, the without due process executions, one of the reasons is the highest body of lawmakers in this nation have never passed an anti-lynching law. So citizens can be involved. This nation is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, and we know that's not happening right now. So we want to make it happen. And Claflin is going to be one of the institutions, one of the tools that you can support to help make us what we've been talking about, one Columbus. We're still not one Columbus. One nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. We haven't gotten there yet. So over the next 40 years, let's do better. And I challenge young people, do better than we did. You got a very strong act to follow, but do better than we did.
Gotcha. We're going to definitely have you come back on the show and talk about the progress and just talk about some of these other things that you're very involved with.
We appreciate that. We just want to say we wish everybody a happy new year, but get involved, get involved. Teachers, get involved. Veterans, get involved. And if you're not involved in something that's making a difference, you're a part of the problem.
Absolutely.
So I want everybody to play their part.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Bicycles are fun at any age. Just remember the rules of the road when you're out enjoying a bike ride. And motorists, when you're sharing the road with cyclists, use caution and give at least 3 feet when passing. Bicycles are safe, fun, and sensible. When you ride, be visible, be predictable, and be alert. You'll have a safe ride and a great time. Let's get there together, Georgia. A message from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety and Georgia Bikes.
I am a teenager.
I am online.
I enjoy sharing thoughts,
Music, videos,
ideas,
Information.
I will not
I will not be a victim to threats.
to stalking,
to soliciting,
to predators.
I will be responsible.
I will be careful,
I will be honest.
I will be smarter. I will get my parents involved.
I will protect myself.
I will be safe.
I am a teenager.
And I
And I
will not
be bullied.
Welcome back to Columbus Connections. We're talking moving forward in the community. Now, last year, METRA made some changes, the city transit system. They made some update to some routes and a few things, and they said that they would be back to talk about that and talk about those updates and see what worked, what didn't work, and how we're going to move forward. Well, this is that time, and they're back here. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing, Britt?
I'm good. Tell us your name, tell us who you're with, and tell us what we're talking about.
Okay. Rosa Evans. I'm the director of METRA Transit System, and we want to talk about proposed changes to the routes, METRA routes that were implemented in October of 2016. And so we're back to talk about what we're proposing in terms of changes.
Gotcha. So let's get into it. What routes what's going to change?
Well, we're going to be reducing or discontinuing some of the later hours on some of the routes that have very low ridership. So the routes will not run as late. We currently run from 4:30 a.m. until 11:30 p.m. And some routes are just not performing well. So we're recommending to reduce some of those later trips. And there are two routes that are not, the ridership is extremely low. And so we're recommending to discontinue those two routes.
And which routes are those?
Route 8, Uptown Civic Commons, and Route 11, which is the route that goes out to Gateway Walmart, and it makes trips from Gateway Walmart to Columbus Park Crossing, and that's Warm Springs Road, Weems Road.
Gotcha. So people just aren't really using it that much, so in order to really be cost efficient and be a steward of community funds.
That's correct. We wanted to try it, and we told the citizens, we told the public and city council that when we implemented the service that we would continue to monitor it and the ridership, and then we would report back and let everybody know what the routes were doing. So while we have routes that are really performing well, and we're having to add trips to those routes, we do have some routes that are not performing well.
Gotcha.
And so rather than keep those routes out till 11 and 11:30 at night with maybe 1, 2, 3 people riding after 9 p.m., we're proposing, and I want to, I guess, really make that part clear. Nothing is final. These are proposals. And so what I want to talk about today are the public hearings that we have scheduled for the public to come out and be informed and make comments about the changes that we're proposing to take place.
Gotcha. Okay, so again, public, this is the time to listen. This is the time to find out if you ride the bus, if you're a member of this affects you. So if you want to have your voice heard, we're going to tell you where you can do that. So where are some of those things that we're going to?
So the board that we have here, I don't know if they're able to see that, but on January 30th, we're going to have a public hearing at our office location at 814 Linwood Boulevard, and that is from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. Now from 4 until 5, the consultants that were hired to do the transit study will do a presentation to let everybody know what is being proposed. And then from 5 until 6 p.m., customers will be able to make comments. We will have a court reporter there. And so people will be able to make comments that will go on record and express their opinion about the routes. And then again, on Thursday, February 1st, we'll have a meeting at the same location at our transit office, and it'll be from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m., the first hour being the presentation and the second hour being comments that people will be able to make to the to go on record. Now, it won't be a forum where you will, a back and forth thing like that. No, it will be, everybody will have an opportunity to make comments about the changes that we're proposing.
Gotcha. And if anyone can't make it and they want to contact you guys or email you or call you and let you know their views, how can they do that?
Okay. Of course, they can call us at METRA, and the number at 706. We have an English line if you want to call and make comments, and it's 706-225-4590. And Spanish line, 706-225-4606. And of course, they can email us at METRA info, at metrainfo@columbusga.org. We have the information posted on our website at Metra Transit, at Columbus, www.columbusga.org/Metra. And we've got the information. We're passing out flyers at the Transfer Center to our customers. We've made over 10,000 copies to distribute. Of course, you all are putting the information out, and the various media. We've posted it in the Ledger Inquirer, Channel 3, Channel 9, all the different agencies.
Getting the word out.
They've gotten the word out.
Yeah.
And but we also, at our transfer center, we're passing out flyers. People are able to make comments and provide those documents to us. They can send us something in writing at 814 Linwood Boulevard, Columbus, Georgia 31901.
Gotcha. So again, if you're just joining us, METRA will be making some proposed changes, but they want to hear from you first. They want to hear from the community, and that can be done, and not just hear from you, but they're going to do a presentation to show you why these changes are necessary, so you can understand that, and again, just get all that information out. That's going to be Tuesday, January 30th at METRA, the Transit Center, the training room on 814 Linwood Boulevard. It's going to start at 4 o'clock. 4 to 5 is the information session, and then 5 to 6, they're going to allow public comment. Then there's going to be another one on February 1st at the same place, the 814 Linwood Boulevard at the METRA Transit Center. Did I cover it?
Okay.
Got it good?
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
cool. Tell us because of course, you're always, just like this, you're always working to make sure that METRA is effectively serving the community.
Correct.
How do you all, at what point do you look at something and say, okay, this is doing good, this isn't doing good, we want to add this route, take this away? How do y'all come to those conclusions?
Well, we do surveys, and we also collect data from our GFI, our fare box. It's an electronic fare box system. Each time a fare is deposited on any particular route, we're able to look at that data, to look at that ridership. So for the last year, that's what we've been doing. We have been looking at very closely each route to see what the ridership is. That tells us whether a route is producing well or if it's underproducing. So when we look at, give you an example, a trip on, say, Route 1, and we see that at 8 o'clock p.m., that's the latest that the most people are riding. So we look at the 9 o'clock trip, and when we see 1 or 2 people, 3 or 4 people, and then 10 o'clock, we don't see anybody, that tells us that we don't need to continue running a bus that's empty.
Right.
And it's just not cost effective.
Exactly.
It's not the best thing for our citizens, because we want this funding to last, the T-SPLOST funding, to last as long as we can make it last,
Right.
To benefit everyone. So we look at the numbers from each route, and we also do hand surveys. We survey bus stops to see how many people are getting on, where people are getting on. So that tells us, do we need to service this area?
Gotcha.
Or do we need to divert the bus to another area? So we've collected data over the years. This is not something that we set back and made up. We have the data to support it. And so a few people will be affected, not a lot of people, because that's why we're making the recommendation, because there are only a few people riding during late hours. We, the public during the study last year, or in 2016, they wanted later service, and so we said we will try it, and we want to see what's going to happen. What will we have people riding? And so what we see is that generally after 9 p.m., buses are running empty.
Gotcha.
So you have the wear and tear on the buses, you have fuel, you have bus operators that are out there with just 1 or 2 people on the bus. So
Gotcha.
We don't want to continue. We would rather put the money in an area where it's most best to be spent, and which is why we've added some trips.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about just discontinuing trips. We're adding trips to those routes that are high performers. So.
Gotcha. There you go. METRA is working to be more effective so that we can more effectively serve the community. Again, if you want your voice heard, or if you want to hear more information about the study, January 30th and February 1st, 4 to 6 and 5 to 7 at the METRA Training Center, Linwood 814 Linwood Boulevard. Thanks again for watching. Final thoughts. Anything else?
Well, I just want to give the number again.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
we want to make sure we hear from the public.
Yeah.
Again, it's a proposal. Nothing is final. There are no fare increases. Once we go through the public hearing process and we get the input from the community, we will take that back to council, and it will go through our city process with first and second reading, and then council will make a final decision. But again, the number to call is 706-225-4581. And if you just want to leave comments and express your opinion, we have the English line again is 706-225-4590. The Spanish line, 706-225-4606. And we really want to hear from the public.
Gotcha. All right. There you have it, folks. Call, come by. We want to hear from you so that we can better serve you. Thanks for watching. This is Columbus Connections.